Welcome back to the Relaxing Ghost channel here on YouTube. Today we have episode 35 of the Attitude Era review series. We are back once again with another pay-per-view review, No Way Out 2000. That's right, we are back with No Way Out 2000, and one of the better pay-per-views of this era that no one really talks about. Very, very good show. I was actually really surprised when I went back and watched this, and this show really goes under the radar when you hear people, throw their lists out of the best Attitude Era pay-per-views. Very rarely I hear people mention this show. So let's get right into this, guys. This is episode 35. And this was February 27th, 2000, from the Hartford Civic Center in Hartford, Connecticut. 12,551 in attendance. And we did about a 480,000 buy rate. So almost 500,000 folks bought this on pay-per-view. And yeah, excuse me if I'm like kind of back and forth on the camera. Still trying to adjust to all this, but I think we'll get the hang of it. When I'm moving left, I'm trying to move this way, but I gotta move this way. So yeah, just apologize for that. So I like I said, I was really surprised by the way this pay-per-view turned out. It was actually a really good pay-per-view. We do have JR and the King on commentary, one of my all-time favorite teams. 9 matches were scheduled for this event, and pretty much all of them, were just clicking on all cylinders here. Hartford, pretty underrated town. We haven't had many pay-per-views from Hartford and the Connecticut area. So, it's I thought this crowd was really cool. Of course, we got our Hell in a Cell Championship main event with Mick Foley's career on the line. And, first up, opening the show was European champion Kurt Angle challenging Chris Jericho for the Intercontinental Championship. So I want to try to figure out how to display pictures on the screen while we're recording. I'm sure there's a way to do that without, doing a display capture and whatnot. So I'm going to try to figure all that out so we could add, little things here and there. But, yeah, this was a fantastic opener. Kurt Angle was just a few months into his WWE run. And, he's already the European champion. He's going for 2 championships here tonight. And Jericho, I believe this was his first or second reign for Jericho. This was after the co-champions debacle. After the Royal Rumble, they crowned an undisputed champion, and Jericho, is moving forward here. And this is like this is the era of fantastic promos. Pretty much before every match, one or both participants are cutting promos before the matches. I always love stuff like this. Too much these days we get, pretty much nothing. You might see once in a while someone cut a promo, but in this era, you're getting pretty much both participants cutting a promo. Kurt Angle getting some cheap heat, and then Jericho just kind of ripping a new hole through Kurt Angle. And this was a good back and forth match, a solid championship intercontinental match. Back and forth, in and out of the ring. Jericho goes for the double power bomb, and Kurt Angle starts working the arm. He's working with arm bars, and it's important to note that China is out here at ringside with in Jericho's corner. Even though Jericho is the undisputed champion here, China is still gonna support him in some capacity. I was never really a big fan of the co-intercontinental champions, but I don't know. It seemed like they made it work. Fun little segments. China gets thrown into the steps at one point in the match, and I think Angle goes outside the ring, grabs the Intercontinental Championship, and Jericho goes for the Lion Salt, but Angle kind of holds the belt up right into the kisser of Jericho. 1, 2, 3. We got a new Intercontinental Champion. And Tim White and Earl Hebner are getting into it, saying, he used the belt, and Tim White is saying, no, that's final. And this would play into something a little bit later. So I like how they're already seeding some storylines early into this pay-per-view. And, the referee debacle. They used a similar finish, I think, a couple months into the future, with the championship and with Jericho. So creative finish. I like that. And we get a new champion. Second match of the night for the tag team titles. The New Age Outlaws defending the titles against the Dudley Boyz. Dudleys were pretty fresh into their WWE run here. I think they debuted in late August, maybe early September, somewhere around that time period. And, they were getting into it with pretty much everybody from the Acolytes to Edge and Christian, the Hardys, and now they're going after some tag team gold. Heavy ECW chants here through the Harvard Civic Center. And, this was a decent match, fairly quick. There's a low blow off the top rope, which we would later call the what's up move, the diving headbutt into the groin. And they are just double teaming Road Dogg. Again, it's important to note that Billy Gunn was injured here. I don't know if he was injured prior or during the match, but he did not do much at all in this match. I think he was just really involved with the finish. Torn rotator cuff or torn shoulder ligaments, something like this. So it's pretty much a handicap match. And Road Dogg is doing his best to keep this match going. So we do get a superplex to Bubba Dudley from Road Dogg. And he's going for the hot tag. Billy Gunn with the Famouser for 2. And, there's some... Billy Gunn gets knocked out of the ring. He goes to hit the lead pipe into the face, but Billy Gunn is like, and he just whacks him right into the shoulder. And this kind of plays into the injury angle. And rolls him into the ring. 3D. We got new tag team champions. And, the Dudley Boyz first tag team championship win. I thought this was a good match, but, the injury to Billy Gunn really kind of hurt the way this match could have been. It could have been a lot better. The Outlaws were masters of the hot tag. They were really good at what they did. And, going back to what I said earlier with the promos, two very good promos between the Dudleys and the New Age Outlaws. The Outlaws were one of my favorites all time, cutting the promos. And this will be the last tag title reign for the New Age Outlaws until I think 2014, somewhere around that time period. So this was really the end of an era with the New Age Outlaws, and I don't think Road Dogg would be in the company much longer after this, maybe another year or so. But Road Dogg had issues. A lot of guys had issues at this time. Billy Gunn would be out until Survivor Series or somewhere around that time. After the match, we see Angle celebrating backstage. I always loved when they did stuff like this. And, he's celebrating in the, somewhere back in the arena somewhere. He's throwing milk everywhere. He's just going nuts. These are some good times. And of course, he would be coined the Euro-Continental Champion. So, third match of the night. We got clips from Sunday night, or clips from Raw and Heat. And this is Viscera versus Mark Henry. Battle of the Super Heavyweights. And Mark Henry is defending the honor of Mae Young, his girlfriend, 77 years old at this time. I'm pretty sure I mentioned this back around Armageddon review. Yeah, Mae Young and Moolah were into their 70s at this time. It's just baffling to see this. This stuff would not fly today. I mean, we got Hogan and Flair in their late 60s, in 2021. I mean, who would you consider a much older, wrestling superstar that could still go today? It's, there's not many. I mean, we have guys in their 50s that are doing quite well, like Sting and The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Triple H. But I mean, Mae Young is almost 80 years old, and she's taking power bombs and big time moves here. It's really incredible to see some of the stuff she's taken at 77 years old. So this is just dubbed as a special challenge match. There's nothing really to the match. It's fairly quick. It doesn't go too long, maybe a few minutes, but yeah, it only goes about 3.5, 4 minutes. Viscera, he was one of my all-time favorites. Really underrated. Some of the stuff he did for a 500-plus pounder, was pretty cool. That heel kick he did, that spinning heel kick, he hits Mark Henry with that. They spill out to the outside, and Mark Henry is into the steps fairly quickly into the match. And Mae Young does a run-in, and Viscera about to splash Mae Young, but he receives a shoulder tackle from Mark Henry, and Mark Henry with a big slam for 3, and that's pretty much it. So Mark Henry gets a big W here. I can't remember if Mark Henry was on the WrestleMania card the next month. I don't think he was. Mark Henry, another one, pretty underrated in his time during this era. Fourth match of the night, but before we get to that, they do go backstage. We see the New Age Outlaws in like the trainer's room, and Billy Gunn's apparently injured. They're saying, like I said, he'll be out till October. And apparently the next night on Raw, he loses his cool and he gets kicked out of DX. So that's a thing if you were ever wondering about that. And yeah, the fourth match of the night is the Hardy Boyz versus Edge and Christian. And this is for the #1 contendership for the tag titles of the Dudley Boyz. And these guys will face each other at WrestleMania. We already know that classic match. And the Hardy Boyz are with Terry with the, this only lasted a few months if you think about it. The winners of the Terry Invitational Tournament and Edge and Christian, the Hardys, a lot of people talk about their, the TLC matches, of course. They're fantastic matches. They were, a new era of matches. They were, stepping in a new wilderness, a new horizon. And, these guys had tons of matches together that don't get talked about. Here's a good one. And the APA are actually, Terry Runnels has bought the services of the Acolytes, and they are on the ramp for this entire match. They're actually looking out for, I think, for the Dudleys. I honestly can't remember, but yeah, Terry has bought the services of the APA, and they're just going to be out there in case Terry needs any help. This is a good match, good back and forth stuff. A lot of counters. Jeff Hardy going for the leap into the corner, and he gets caught into a spear from Edge. I feel like they did that spot quite a few times, where kind of Matt Hardy gets on all fours, Jeff Hardy kind of leaps into the corner and into a spear. They've done that a few times, but it gets creative over the course of their matches, and which would eventually lead into the spear off of a 20-foot ladder. So Jeff Hardy going for a swanton, but Terry Runnels pushes Jeff Hardy off, and he goes crashing into the barricade. Terry Runnels slaps Matt Hardy after, some confusion. Like, Terry, what are you doing? And the Unprettier gets the 3 count, and Edge and Christian are going to WrestleMania to challenge the Dudleys. So after the match, this is an angle alert. The Hardys are getting into it with Terry, and the APA just, kind of manhandle the Hardys and leave them laying in a puddle of their own blood. So yeah, we see Edge and Christian backstage celebrating, and we get a Big Show promo. Big Show not the best on the mic, but him and Shane McMahon were a good pairing. I always liked that pairing with McMahon and Big Show. Kind of like, the son of Vince McMahon's, just motivating the Giant here. I always like that pairing. Fifth match of the night, the Big Boss Man versus Taz. This wasn't even really a match. It was kind of just like a brawl. It only lasts about a minute and a half, but this is just action-packed from start to finish. It's pretty much a handicap match with Prince Albert and Boss Man just going to work on Taz. And Taz is not giving in to these guys. They're just trying to beat him down. He keeps getting up. Boss Man takes that nightstick, cracks it over his head, shatters that nightstick into pieces, which I think was the first time that ever happened. It ends up a DQ finish. Taz mission to Boss Man, but Albert runs in And, Taz is trying to take on both, like I said. And, Taz has loads of heart. And, there's officials in the ring. It's getting out of control. Taz is not staying down. This is a fighter, Taz. He grew up in the mean streets of Brooklyn. And, I think Taz got over huge here. This crowd was so into this. It's kind of hilarious to watch this, but at the same time, you got sympathy for Taz. You want to see him take out these two big nasty guys. But yeah, it's kind of weird to see, like, and I think they did this a couple times, but Boss Man and Albert were kind of in a weird situation here. Sixth match of the night. Kane versus X-Pac, no holds barred. This was a decent match. I thought a lot of these matches could have been, forwarded to WrestleMania, especially this single match between Kane and Pac. Absolutely two of my all-time favorites with Kane, X-Pac, DX. Honestly, I think this should have been on WrestleMania along with Triple H and Rock. This is probably another video for another day, I think, with rebooking WrestleMania 16. I think I've done a couple of those. But this one starts in the aisleway, ends up on the stage, into the crowd. And, the hardcore matches back then were some of my favorites. X-Pac's using the ring bell and low blow to Kane, X Factor, and Paul Bearer's out here getting involved with Tori. Chokeslam and a tombstone to Tori. Dropkick on the steps. And, X-Pac kind of holds the steps over Kane for the 3. And he defeats the Big Red Machine. Not a lot of things people could say. But X-Pac does hold a few wins over Kane. This was a decent match. I don't think they had the best of chemistry, but this was a feud I really enjoyed. And, they would have a few more matches, but I think this is something that should have been on WrestleMania. It was one of their bigger storylines. These guys were tag team champions. They were like that underrated tag team that was just kind of thrown together. And, that was a hell of a pairing. That was one of my all-time favorite tag teams with Edge and Christian. And, to do this the month prior to WrestleMania was just kind of weird and strange. So I thought that I definitely think this should have been on Mania. And, Kane, he's, heavily protected around this era. So, 7th match of the night is going to be a big 6-man tag. Before the match, we have a Radicals promo. And, yeah, if you can see it here. And we got Too Cool and Rikishi Fatu versus Perry Saturn, Benoit, and Dean Malenko with Eddie Guerrero. Eddie with a Y. So yeah, this was a decent promo, and Eddie Guerrero has his moral support, and he's talking about that lead pipe he keeps in his little shoulder brace. Eddie Guerrero suffered a dislocated shoulder on his debut, and they kind of work it into the storylines where Eddie is helping these guys with the use of this lead pipe. This was actually a really good, fun match. Too Cool and Rikishi. Big Keish is fairly new to the company here, under this gimmick anyway. He had been in the company as Fatu, part of the Head Shrinkers, and he might have been in some other gimmick before, but, the Rikishi character had recently debuted around this time, prior to the Rumble anyway. And Too Cool is just one of the hottest acts, honestly. So early on in the match, they isolate Scotty 2 Hotty. We got a Benoit, Dean Malenko making quick tags. Rikishi hits the Rikishi driver, which is like a sit-out tombstone. I always love that move. Scotty 2 Hotty hits the worm on Perry Saturn. Hip-hop drop into the ref, or there's no ref. Benoit hits the headbutt. This is a really good match. But Rikishi ends up hitting the bonsai drop for the 3. And Too Cool and Rikishi are your winners. Fantastic match. And the 8th match of the night is going to be The Rock taking on the Big Show with their number 1 contendership on the line. This is, a controversial ending from Royal Rumble 2000 with when Big Show eliminated The Rock. Big Show was saying, oh, his feet touched the floor, and I should be the winner, all this stuff. They kind of incorporated it pretty well, but during this time, Triple H and Stephanie were running the show, and he's like, show me the proof. I need more than a security guy saying it. Show me some proof, and you can have your match with The Rock. This was not the best match on the card at all. This was a decent match. Anything with The Rock was just electric, but these guys did not have the greatest chemistry. Big Show is a special athlete, and there's not many that have a chemistry with the Big Show. So these guys pretty much battle in and out of the ring. They're using stairs and chairs. There's an early ref bump to Baby Earl Hebner. And, this is what I said earlier in the show with the Tim White, Earl Hebner. And Big Show hits the choke slam, and Tim White runs out. Shane McMahon with the chair. And, at this time, Rock, he hits the rock bottom, going for the people's elbow. And Shane McMahon runs in, hits that chair over the Rock while he's about to hit that people's elbow. And Tim White ends up counting the 3. And Big Show is going to WrestleMania. This is crazy. So yeah, after the match, Earl Hebner comes to, and he's like, "Oh, what happened? What happened?" And he's like, "No," and Tim White saying, "No, it's final," because that's what happened earlier in the night. These guys were all confused about the Intercontinental Championship match, and now Tim White's done it again. So pretty much a double turn there on Earl. Tim White was always one of my favorite referees, so it was cool to see him throughout the night. In the main event for the World Wrestling Federation Championship, a Hell in a Cell match, career versus title. This is honestly one of the best Hell in a Cell matches. Triple H versus Cactus Jack, a feud that this was a long time in the making. prior to the match, we see Jericho and China ambushing Kurt Angle, and they toss him into the trunk of their car. But this Hell in a Cell match, this was a very special match for me. I wasn't the biggest Mankind fan or whatever, but watching this match and, feeling the emotion of Cactus Jack, and, I've never experienced anyone retire or kind of, anything like that at this time. So this was a weird kind of time, because I didn't think, Cactus should retire, but I also didn't think he was going to win the title. Before they start the match, Cactus Jack's running out to the door, and the door is just padlocked shut. There must be about 20 locks around the door, and Stephanie McMahon is just saying, "No way out here, no way out. You got no way out, Cactus." And this gets going fairly quickly with steel chairs, Cactus with an elbow drop off the top to the floor. These guys are just going straight for the go. At one point, Cactus Jack is going for the kill, and he's throwing the steps around. The steps get thrown through the cell, through one of the cell walls, and it just cuts a hole right through the cell, breaks open a little out. And I honestly really like that touch, because they didn't just, let an official in so they could open the door. They found a way out, and that was pretty cool. We see a pile driver on the desk to Triple H, and Mick Foley grabs that 2x4 wrapped in barbed wire. And Triple H is just busted wide open. This is this was the sight to see. Triple H pretty much got busted open every pay-per-view. And Cactus Jack has nasty gash on his arm, I think from the mesh fence, when he kind of leapt through the hole in the fence to to open it up wider. He cut a nasty gash in his arm. And these guys are going up to the top. It was really cool that he had a little handle on the 2x4 so he could kind of, put it around his arm and carry it up while still climbing. So these guys are going up, but Triple H is up quicker, and he grabs the barbed wire from Cactus Jack, and he is just shredding his head wide open. And Cactus Jack takes, not a leap off the top, but, about halfway down through the announce desk. And there are just asshole chants throughout the whole building. Triple H was just hated at this time. Cactus Jack is trying to throw a chair on top of the cell, but he is just so fatigued at this point, he could not get it done. I think they might have been trying to work something into this, but it just didn't happen. He couldn't get the chair up there. It landed almost on King at one point. JR and the King. Cactus Jack does eventually climb back up, and again, Triple H is just taking that 2x4 to Cactus Jack, and Triple H is actually bumping around on the top of the cell, and this is pretty scary. Some of these bumps, the suplexes and stuff like that, especially what we know happened a few years ago when that cage gave way, and apparently it wasn't supposed to happen. I still think it is, but it could be disputed. So, Triple H is bumping around, and he kind of trips, and his leg goes, through a corner of one of the cells, and, kind of a little, ooh, get the crowd going. Foley hits a suplex and a DDT on top of the cell, and he lights that 2x4 on fire. And he's going for the pile driver on top of the cell. Mick Foley is going for it all here. Cactus Jack wants to just end Triple H. I don't even think he really felt like he needed the title. He just hated Triple H so much. And this is reversed, and Cactus Jack takes a wild bump through the cage and through the ring. And this is one of the craziest bumps I ever witnessed. We get holy shit chants. The crowd is just going crazy. This is a pre-planned spot, of course. The first time it happened back at King of the Ring, Mick Foley's body was probably just broken in half from, falling through the cage and through the ring. Triple H climbs down, kind of creeping around. He's kind of kicks his arm to see if Cactus has any life to him. And Cactus is slowly moving around. Triple H gives him a couple shots, and Cactus Jack he's got nothing left. Cactus he just fell over with one shot. And Triple H hits the pedigree, 1, 2, 3. That's it. Triple H retains, and Cactus Jack, Mick Foley, must retire. This is a very emotional ending to a pay-per-view. Like I said, I never really experienced anyone retiring or being forced to retire through the course of a match and whatnot. So this was very emotional to see, because I didn't think Foley would retire. And, obviously he didn't at this time, but, I didn't think it was going to happen. And, I was kind of sad that Foley retired. I just really started diving in full time at this point in time, in late 99, and, and seeing the Rock and Saw connection and all his great matches with the Rock, the I Quit match and stuff like that. It was, Mick Foley had really become one of my favorites, whether by hook or by crook or whatever. And, it was pretty emotional to see him walk away. He's refusing help from EMTs and whatnot, and Mick Foley does walk out of the arena, and it's a very emotional exit. The VHS does run about 2 hours, 35 minutes, and there's an exclusive wrap-up with Jonathan Coachman. I always liked watching these VHS tapes and seeing the coach wrap-ups. Nowadays, I wish they still would do something like that, but there's so much going on with the YouTube channels. They put out post-shows and pre-shows, and there's no love for the home video releases. There's no post or pre-match interviews. There's nothing really like that. We get promos from Y2J, the Dudleys, Edge, Christian, Taz, Big Boss Man, Paul Bearer, Too Cool, Big Show, and Mick Foley. So this was a hell of a wrap-up. Excuse me, but man, this was such a good pay-per-view. I was on the fence of what to give this out of 10. I gave the Rumble 2009. This was a really good pay-per-view, No Way Out 2000. I wanted to give it a 9, but I don't think it was as good as the Rumble. It was a really good show, though. 8.5 out of 10 was my score. It was a really good show, like I said. Definitely highly recommend you guys check it out. And, man, it like I said at the beginning of this review, it really surprised me how good that show ended up being. I didn't really remember No Way Out 2000 that well, I may have watched it a handful of times, but I didn't remember it being, as good as it was. Meltzer gave the Hell in a Cell match 4.5 out of 5 stars. So take that with what you will. So our next 3 episodes of the Attitude Era review series are being planned today. First up, we got WrestleMania 2000. I'm ready to watch this again. One of my all-time favorites. My favorite WrestleMania. My first WrestleMania experience. And then we have Backlash 2000. Some say it should have happened. This should have been the Mania card with Triple H and The Rock, Austin appearing, and the McMahon in every corner was kind of goofy. We got a shot of Trish Stratus and Bubba Dudley there locking lips. The Showster and Kurt Angle. You got Scotty 2 Hotty and Dean Malenko was a classic match. And then we're going to the UK with Insurrection 2000. I can't say I've watched this. I got these recently with the, what was it? Rebellion 99 and I think Insurrection or Capital Carnage 98. I got those. I got Insurrection 99 or Insurrection 2000 and Rebellion 2000. So I don't think I've even watched this yet. So this is going to be really cool to watch. So looking forward to this. Another Triple H Rock match. Eddie Guerrero and Jericho. Edge and Christian and the Hardys. Chris Benoit versus Kurt Angle. There's some really good stuff in the UK that happened on these shows. So that is our next 3 reviews for the Attitude Era review series. Well, as always, let me know your thoughts on No Way Out 2000. What were your thoughts on Cactus Jack, Mankind retiring? And, as we know, he did not retire, at that point in time. But, he did have one match at WrestleMania 2000. And then he kind of would really retire for quite some time, making one-off appearances and whatnot. So this was really the end of Foley's full-time career. So let me know your thoughts, your score for No Way Out 2000. And as always, we'll talk to you later. Peace.